Welcome back to the Black Sheep Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about our month of October, why we had a bit of a hiatus, and what we've been up to, what's been going on, and we have some pretty tough topics today to discuss, but we want to share them with our listeners and those of you that have an interest in homesteading. This may turn you right the fuck off. Welcome back to another episode of the Black Sheep Podcast.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in back with us. Last month was one of the most challenging. It was definitely the hardest month, the hardest experience we've ever had since getting into homesteading. We decided it was time to butcher our cow Daisy. And Daisy, we originally got her as a milking cow, and we found her on Kijiji, or it was Kijiji, and she was 3 months old or something like that. And she had this white heart on her.
Pink heart.
Well, there was like pink on it, but the marking was white.
It was pink.
Okay. Pink heart on her head. So we got her thinking this is going to be the greatest milking cow. Yada, yada, yada. She gets a little bit older. Turns out she can't get pregnant. She's a free martin, which means she was a twin at birth. The brother likely took more of her growth hormones, so her reproductive organs didn't fully develop. So we can't get her pregnant. She's not going to be a milking cow. She's going to be a pet cow. And typically on farms, if they're not going to be useful for milking, they're going to be for beef. And we just grew to love her because, I mean, you raised her. We bottle fed her. Jess was mama. Like, she was always looking for her mama. And she got really, really big. Turns out we went for like the largest breed of cow for our first time ever having cows. And we got a Holstein. And then turns out she also grew horns. And didn't know that was a thing either for girls. And she grew to be 2,100 pounds.
Almost 22. 2186.
She was big girl, but big suck. Like, she was the most affectionate, cuddly animal out of all of our livestock. Like, she was the most affectionate, and she was the most rambunctious and destructive. And she used her horns like hands and would pull something out or break something or knock something over every day. So Jess's job was always just fixing what Daisy destroyed the night before. Whether it was a metal gate she had ripped off or dented or pulled out of the post. The water, she would pull off the water, or she would play with the watering, like the giant bins. Like watering bins, she would play with that and knock it over. It would be flooded. Like, she was just reckless. And so this decision didn't come lightly. She was 4 years old, and usually
not quite 4, but
close
3.5, give or take.
And they typically butcher cows
about 2 years,
right? So she had been our pet, and we had just been loving on her, and she acclimated the other cows to the farm, which was great. It was a hard decision, and one that we had been putting off, which is why she was 3.5. And we finally came to that decision because it just started to get, it was like a risk for us, because she's thrown me before. She's grabbed me, hooked me with her horn and threw me. She's done some damage to you too, Jess. And she's chased after our daughter. And that was kind of like the final straw that, like, it was just like a safety issue. Plus, like, we are two small women, like 5'2". Daisy's taller. Her back leg was well over our height. And she's like a bull running at you with these horns. And she's playing, but she could kill you, right? She thinks she's having a good old time, but we're like, there's many times I've run and hopped the fence. We held on to her as long as we possibly could. And this fall we made the decision to have a gentleman come and butcher her on site. So typically people will have their livestock shipped to the butchers, a facility that will do the killing and the processing. And we chose to have someone come here so we didn't have to send her away. And that was a big deal for us because we wanted to respect her. We didn't want there to be stress. We didn't want her to be in an unknown situation. She's always just lived here. Well, except the very beginning of her life, we wanted her to always remain here. So we found a really great guy who would come. He would do the whole process over 2 days, bring his truck and trailer, refrigerated trailer, and we chose to do it all on site. The process of this has been tough though, eh? Like even like leading up to the kill date was like an emotional roller coaster for both of us.
Yeah, I felt like I pretty much took the entire month of October off. I have been off social media for months now, really. And for the 2 weeks, I'd say we booked the kill date probably a month in advance, give or take. So for the entire month leading up to the day, it was just like a doomsday clock, really, is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Is just having this looming date coming, and I just had a really hard time. I just had a really hard time existing, if I'm being honest.
I know.
Yeah, it was just like, it was just this constant emotional roller coaster. I had a hard time even, yeah, thanks, I'm going to need those. I had a hard time even like interacting with her because I just felt so much guilt. But I also felt like, I agree with you in for the most part that it was necessary. However, my job is primarily the farmer, and I knew that her existence here was more than like what most people thought. And I knew that she was the protector of everybody else. And since she's been gone, we've had nothing but fucking just devastation after devastation after devastation. We've lost a number of chickens and ducks, and so it's been more difficult in that sense because you're questioning whether or not you made the right decision.
Yeah, that's been the tough part, is that we can't go back, and so like it's hard to that hit me hard, of like how much I underestimated how much she protected. Even like I think we had a fox come right up to the barn. Like I definitely think
like we have like a retarded chicken that we've managed to keep alive for 6 months that was neurologically unwell due to a accident that it had when it was a chick, and
it's just lived in the barn.
She's just been in the barn and been fine and doesn't really leave the barn. And then Jen noticed that she was a little bit further out towards the garden, which is not very far, which is still shocking to me that a predator would come that close.
Which is something like a fox would do, because they are always on the outskirts waiting and watching.
But I mean, Daisy would be at the gate 90% of the time, just watching. And anyway, this was just not a problem before she was butchered. And so that's been really challenging because it's just been death after death after death. And, I feel like with the first round of chickens that we butchered, it was, I don't want to say like a rite of passage, but it took away the, I don't know how to say that. It gave me, it was challenging to butcher the first round of chickens because we did it ourselves. It was very intense. But it sort of puts you over the hump, I guess, is like the best way to put it. And from that point on, the animals become animals that are for food. And you just detach yourself from the relationship with them. And so that's where this has been the most difficult is with chickens, like the little retarded one. The thing about that is that you get to have a relationship with them in that way. The other chickens we don't really have a relationship with. They're out in the pasture. They're very disconnected. I'm very disconnected. I go out, I love them, I take care of them, I feed them, I water them.
But we know what their purpose is.
But their purpose is their purpose. And this little one was just kind of a little honey. And I just took care of her and made that mistake of becoming connected to her. And then, you know, we're doing our chores at night and she's just disappeared, like out of thin air. And that's like a half an hour, 45 minutes after Jen noticed that she was out a little bit further. So it's just like in the blink of an eye, a predator just comes, takes them, and there's no trace. It's just...
That's a fox.
It's a really awful thing to go through because you just don't know what happened. But I mean, that's life on the farm. That's the hard part. Farming's not easy.
There's always going to be losses. Like there's always going to be death. Like we've been learning that all this time is like to get comfortable with the life and death cycle here, because we've had many losses. Mm-hmm.
It's the life and death is not the hard part. It's when you become connected. And I shouldn't say it's not the hard part. Even in the mornings, like Alora will know this, like the day before we have to take the chickens to be butchered is always a very hard day for me. Mm-hmm. And then the morning that we have to take them, it's very difficult to get them loaded up and knowing where they're going and what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. But I have to be honest, like once we drop the crates because I mean, we don't butcher all of our chickens anymore, but it's just too many. Once we drop them off at the butcher, I don't know if relief is the word, but I've detached now. I've disconnected. It's over. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But with Daisy, that was, I don't know how to put that into words. It's like your favorite dog you've ever had. And then you're going to eat it. I mean, it's fucked. Actually, it's pretty fucked. I will say we have eaten Daisy, and it's the best fucking meat I've ever had in my life. And I've never felt so much gratitude and connection. Mm-hmm. I would say like the connection that I had eating that meat was odd, but not as challenging as I thought. I didn't think that I would want to eat the meat, but I have felt...
I had a harder time.
Yeah, you had a really hard time. And... but I was just like, yeah, I ate the meat fine. That wasn't a problem. It was, but I think the month leading up to the day, and then, probably, I mean, up until now, it's been 2 weeks or so, give or take, and I'm still struggling every time I go out, to feed and do my chores. I'm just used to seeing her big dumb face just staring at me and, you know, like
head hanging over
just the excitement when she sees me, and not having her out there it's been really tough.
Her not being here changed the energy of this land big time. And we've had overcast, even when it called for sun, for like 5 days of sun, it was just overcast and rain.
It never came. Like the sun never came out.
Like the land was grieving. All the animals were grieving. We've been grieving. I think that was the hardest part, like just being in so much like heaviness here and watching our other cow especially grieve and be like, she was angry at us. She was so angry. And Bailey, which was our first sheep, we bought her as a companion for Daisy. She laid in the spot that Daisy died. And then she laid in the other spot where a part of Daisy was buried. And that like just shot like that that got me because they feel it. Like they grieve. The animals actually, they go through so much of that grief process that we're not always aware of. It's pretty,
Yeah.
that was pretty mind blowing to see.
The process, like for those of you that want to know, I mean, Jen kind of outlined it a little bit, but traditionally you have a large transport vehicle come and you would create a chute of some kind to be able to get the animal loaded onto the trailer, which we've seen done before, and it's quite difficult because no animal that has any sense wants to board a tractor trailer. They just know that it's probably not going to be
A good thing.
a good thing. So to try and have a guy come and try to have a 2,200 pound animal that
Never has been really transported.
would have been an absolute nightmare. And then from there they go into what's called like a lockup, which is a paddock in the kill facility, where they're sent to simply wait. And you know, anybody who's like an animal rights person would know, they've seen the videos of the facilities, and I'm not knocking on them. There's some really great ones and there's some really fucking shitty ones. I think it just depends on where you go, but nevertheless, there's not one ounce of my body that would indicate to me that they don't know what's about to happen. The sounds that they're hearing, the energy of the building,
They feel
they know that they're going to wait to die, and then they're marched into the kill room, and that's generally it's like a bullet to the head, which is quick, but that doesn't kill them. That just stuns them, and then they're bled out. And it's great for the person that owns the animal, because once the animal's loaded onto the truck, they're out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
In this particular case, the gentleman that came shot her with a 30-06. If any of you are into conspiracy theories, you know about the 30-06 of lately with Charlie Kirk. So that was actually interesting for me because, of course, I'm into the conspiracy of it all. So that was interesting. But she was in her paddock with her big fucking head in a bowl, in a bucket full of grain, and had no idea what happened. Just quick, on the ground in a matter of a second, and then they have to slit the throat to bleed her out. And that was something I wished I didn't see. That was really tough to see. And I think the worst part of the whole situation for me was if that was the end of it and I could have walked away and spent the rest of the day in my bed smoking joints and watching old movies, that might have been better for me. But for me, I had to be the man and the farmer, and I had to drive a tractor that I'm unfamiliar with, that was like a real tractor. Like I have a tractor, but it's what I'll call like a girl tractor. It's a bit smaller, not quite capable of lifting that size of an animal. So a farmer that I know up the road lent me his New Holland tractor, and that's where the real work started. So I mean, where most people think that's the end of the story, for me that's the beginning. And for then it was, you have to lift her up. It had to be a good 15, 20 feet or so in the air, because she's so big and tall. And you have to remove her from the pasture and bring her out of the pasture into kind of the barn area, where from that point, he's got to do all kinds of different things. He has to skin it. He has to take the hide off. And then after he's done with the hide, you have to pick the animal back up again and reposition it again. And then he has to do a couple of other things, and then you got to pick it up again. And so this is me operating this tractor and you're trying to be as gentle as you can because every wrong move swings the animal uncontrollably, and obviously you don't want that. So
The whole process
it's a
is
bit
about
graphic, but
you're trying to be so respectful the whole process. And I think about like hunters do this. Like this is what hunters do. They try to do the ethical kill shot. So it's like no pain for the animal or as minimal pain as possible. And then often they're in the field doing the field dressing, which is like taking out the organs, either quartering it or to bring it back, or they're carrying it back, and then they're doing the skinning and cleaning up of the animal to the parts. So we witnessed all of that, but with a cow, and a really big cow.
I mean, a normal average cow is about 12 to 1,400 pounds, and she was 2,200. So to move her around was challenging at best, and to be a first timer doing it in an unfamiliar vehicle was super challenging for me. I mean, I did it and it went really well, but it was hard. It was very hard to see her in that way. Was really hard. And then, just when you think, okay, maybe that's it, then it's like, then he has to gut the animal. And so you've got about 800 pounds of stomachs, because cows have multiple stomachs, 4-chambered. So you've got quite a bit of intestinal organs and the stomachs, and that has to be buried. So the day before, I had dug a hole with the tractor, and we had to have a neighbor come with another tractor. I mean, this is a fucking process, you guys. Like, this is not a joke. It's when people talk, oh, I'm gonna get a cow. I'm like, it's like, fuck off. Like, like, you have no, like, it's just the amount of work that goes into it is actually unfucking real.
Well, and I think about like, all the rescue farms and, having all these beautiful animals and having all these, like they become pets and stuff. But what happens when they're near the end of their life? What happens when they get injured? Like people don't see those sides of farming. And that's how this gentleman that we met got into doing this, is because there was a lot of cows that were getting injured at these different facilities. And the government protocol is that if they're injured before their kill, they're garbage. So they're no good. So he would come and like do the whole process for them as ethically and as quickly. So he'd be doing emergency phone calls.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that that's how his profession, that's how he kind of got into his own business of doing this. And so we're really grateful that he came here for this.
Yeah. So after you bury the internal organs and stomach, I shouldn't say organs because we kept them, but the stuff that you can't keep. I wasn't prepared for that, and I wasn't prepared for the amount. And I wasn't prepared for the emotional aspect of it. And then when that's done, you think, okay, like now is it done? It's not. And then there's more, moving of the animal over to the butcher's freezer, and then quartering. And then finally, when the last piece is on the tractor, on the fridge tractor, the trailer, sorry. Then that aspect of my job was done, which was a major relief, until the end of the second day, which was worse because, now you're left over with, so legally, which I don't know if I'm just mad at the situation that I had to go through, or if I'm mad at the government, because usually I'm mad at the government. But regardless, the guy can't take any of the remains away. He has to leave. Every ounce of the animal has to stay on the farm. So the end of day 2, I had to bury all of the bones, feet. Like this is my baby, really, and I have to take a bucket, two or so bucket on my tractor, buckets full, and bury it. And then because we wanted to use everything and we didn't want to waste anything, and last year Jen wanted a a buffalo skull with the horns, and they're about like $900 to buy one if you want to buy one. So of course I didn't, but Daisy, has kind of the most beautiful head and horns. So that was another hard part, is then he literally hands me her severed head, and I've got it in my tractor bucket, and I have to go out to the pasture, and I have to
It's heavy.
yeah, and I have to put it at the bottom of a pile, and then I have to cover it with 20 buckets of dirt, and I'll have to dig it up next year and go through that process all over again. We also kept the hide. That was really important to me. I really it's a massive hide. Jen, I think, was like, what the fuck are we going to do with it? And I'm like, well, I'm going to live in it. I'm going to sleep in it.
It's going to go on our bed.
I don't know, but I want to be wrapped in it all the time. I mean, we don't have it back yet. But then we had to do that. That was the other thing, is then the end of day 2, we had to put the hide in the back of the trailer and drive it an hour and 20 minutes to a guy that can handle that size. I mean, I've tanned a hide before, but nothing that size, and it was just, there's no way that I wanted to fuck that up either. I really wanted that to be done the right way. Mm-hmm. So, and then we have to somehow lift. You guys have no idea how heavy it was. The two of us, the Lord Jesus Christ was with us, because as I'm backing my trailer into this unfamiliar site in the nighttime, and I can't see anything, and we can't lift it, this native fellow out of nowhere,
big guy,
walks up, and he's like, do you guys need a hand? We're in the middle of nowhere. And he just happened to pull in and want to buy a trap from the trapper guy that was doing the hide, and the guy wasn't even there. It was his wife. So thank God this guy was there to help us. Otherwise, I really don't know that we would have. I don't think we could have done it.
We wouldn't have been able to.
I don't know what we would have done, because there's just no way that we could have lifted it. Even with him on the front and us on the back, we had a hell of a time getting it out. And and then you had to walk 30, 40 feet with it and take it into a freezer. And I mean, to lift it into the freezer was nearly impossible. So it just seemed like this never-ending saga. It just kept going. I feel like Pee Wee Herman, it just kept going and going and going with no end in sight.
Well, and even in the grave where we buried her organs, and then we've had predators come and dig it up, and so then I'm taking more stuff out to cover it up, and then I check it the next day, it got dug up again, so then I'm spraying sulfur and stuff just to try to get them away from the spot. And this took 4 or 5 days, and even again this morning we're like, fuck, something else, just try to dig again. So it's this ongoing grief, mm-hmm. ongoing reminder and process. I think this is also the part that's so important, is that this is if we want to eat meat, this is part of the process. It's like hunters, they honor the whole animal, nose to tail. They are so completely connected to that animal, and they do not waste. They have full respect for that process. Mm-hmm. And I remember so after all this, I did a little tribute to Daisy and had shared that on Instagram. And I've had people ask me why did you watch? Why did you watch that? Because we watched the whole thing happen. And I just remember saying it doesn't feel right to turn a blind eye. Mm-hmm. It's easy to look away and not be connected to that experience. Yeah. It's easy to play ignorant. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of courage to face the hard stuff, mm-hmm. right? And to truly honor the process, because the amount of gratitude that we feel is overwhelming, like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like the same when we processed our own meat birds the first time, like we just cried the whole next day because it was just about like, I feel so much gratitude that we're just feeding our family.
Yeah.
I feel so much gratitude for this process. And we never want to waste when we cook it. It's like, you don't waste it. You
Yeah.
always respect that animal.
Yeah, it makes me feel I don't mean this to the listeners, that I'm sure that 99% of you don't have cows to raise. So don't take this the wrong way, but it just makes me feel like fuck you to everybody else that goes to a grocery store and just buys their meat. Like, it's just, that's just what you do. It's just easy. When I had to go through what I had to go through, it's kind of like dirt in your face, like kicking dirt in your face when you realize what actually goes into the meat that you're buying. And it's just another reminder of how very disconnected the world is, the Western world, is to their food production.
Like, most people don't even know where their meat comes from.
Yeah.
You know, most people don't know how their vegetables are grown.
Yeah.
There's just I think it's just teaching me so much around how we are so removed from our connection to our source.
Yeah.
We are so detached. And even before we started homesteading and we were living in London, and we would thank the farmer for the meat that we were eating. We would thank the truck driver that brought the produce to us. We would thank the lineup of everybody that was involved in bringing that meal to our table. And I think that is just a way that we could start to build that connection again, to start to recognize this life of ease and convenience and everything being available at your fingertips all the time. We lose gratitude. We lose connection. We lose that understanding of how something goes from A to B. We just want.
I've said this before, that I think that if people had to go through what we go through, there would be very few fat people.
I agree with that.
I do, because
I agree with that.
You wouldn't be gorging on food if you knew how hard it was to be in control of the cycle of life, raising, loving, killing, eating. If you knew and you had to go through that process, everything would be different, I think, personally.
I definitely agree, because when we eat, it's like out of reverence. It's out of gratitude. Like, all summer, it's like, oh, we grew this is ours. Like, we're not binging. Like, it's not like, you eat out of gratitude. We always pray before a meal. Every time before we eat, we pray. And we honor and acknowledge what's before us and how to nourish our own bodies. We're always sitting in gratitude. And I think that's just one way that we can start to build that connection again, whether you're homesteading or not, just to have that connection to thank the farmer that brought you this chicken.
Yeah.
You know, like, just have that gratitude and appreciation and reverence for that animal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly it's certainly an experience that you'll never forget. You won't ever look forward to, but a necessary step if you want to be a homesteader and you want to raise your own meat. I mean, that's just the long and the short of it. If you want to do that, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And I have little respect for those that ship them away. I really do, because after going through what we went through, it was very hard on us, but it was the best for her. And so you can flip that around, and you can make it really easy on you, and you can make it really tough on the animal. And we chose, I think, to take the brunt of it so that she could, to at least sacrifice that for her. She sacrificed her life for us, but we sacrificed witnessing what we witnessed in order to save her from
sitting in
a
discomfort.
stressful death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really want to do this episode. Jen wanted to do this episode. I don't like to talk about it. It's been really hard for me.
Well, we're all moving
But-
through grief in completely different ways. This whole process has brought like us as a family moving through grief. We're all doing it differently.
I've just been building. The week leading up to it, I completely tore apart my shop and started rebuilding everything in the inside. I just needed to have my mind distracted because it was all I could think about. And then, the week after, same thing, just keeping myself busy and whether that's distraction, I mean, it probably is, but that was how I could cope because I just couldn't, a really hard time just thinking about, what had happened. And I mean, there was even stress afterwards with the meat because you guys have no idea. We bought a new cubic, like a brand new
I did get a freezer for
20
her.
cubic foot freezer, which is like the biggest freezer you can get. And, then there was stress with that because she wouldn't fit in it. Like there was too much meat for the freezer.
It wasn't freezing.
It wasn't freezing because, it was full to capacity. It took about a week to freeze it all. And we had to
To rotate everything.
move things around from freezer to freezer and to try to get everything to freeze. And it was just so much went into that. And, but then, I think right away we both agreed that we wanted to raise more beef cattle.
Right after, yes.
As difficult as that was,
it's the right way to do it.
it's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
The gentleman that did it couldn't have been better. He was very respectful, very knowledgeable.
He walked us through all of it, he held her in reverence. Like he was so respectful. He was patient while we had our meltdowns. Like he was just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He reminded us that grown men cry just as hard as we did.
Yeah.
And he said something that I really thought was kind. And he said, like, if you weren't crying, I'd be worried.
Yeah.
If you weren't upset, I'd be worried. So, I think that helped me to remind me that it's normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just something that I wasn't expecting to be, just to be what it was. I knew it was going to be hard, but I just don't think that I thought it was going to be that hard.
Well, and I think, you learn a lot from grief, right? Like we learn from our pain. Pain is our greatest teacher. And throughout this process, like we move through grief very differently, and been crying and painting and reflecting on her and thinking. And as I'm doing a portrait of her, I'm thinking about like her hair, her curls, her rambunctiousness. I'm thinking about all the different little traits about her, and like just petting her, and like when I would brush her, like all these little textures of her personality I was trying to put onto the painting. And as I'm moving through it, I'm crying and taking a break and then crying again and then painting. And like, again, it's just like we're moving through it in like different levels of grief. It's like hits us like waves. That's grief is the emotion, right? So it's just water constantly. And then after all of this, our nervous systems were shot. We were exhausted. We were drained. And then I got a stomach bug, which it was just my body rejecting and like trying, because anything with the digestion is like you can't stomach something, you can't digest something, right? And I just had like everything coming, like washing out of me. Like I was I was down for the full day. And then even like I'm still recovering, like my nervous system is still on the mend from all this. I still have like stuffy nose. Like I'm still working through my body's still recovering from all of this. I think it just goes to show like how much of an impact she was here, how much love we have for her, and how much love she continues to give us in return. I mean, typically for an older cow, their meat is just ground beef. And the butcher was saying she didn't have any stress. She didn't have any stress when she died. So she didn't have any lactic acid buildup in her muscles, which make it harder to chew.
Well, the other thing too is that she'd never been bred because she was a free martin.
Right.
So that's really what makes the cows tough to tough
Yeah.
is when they've been bred.
Yeah.
Multiple, and usually cows are bred every year. So for a 3 or 4 year old cow, they would have already had 2 or 3 babies by now.
Yeah.
So for her not having any calves, she was basically quite tender.
Yeah.
So that was nice because she's given us, God knows how many. I mean, at least a year full of meat, if not more. I mean,
probably more than that.
I mean, because we usually buy a half cow every year, right?
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
And so this is a full cow, and she's double the size of anything else. So, I mean, I bet you that we'll get easy 1.5 years, if not maybe a bit more out of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's changed the farm. It's changed the energy. It's changed our perspectives.
I think because of the heavy days, like just I mean the land feels it, nature responds, and I remember like I just been wanting fires. We need sun, we need heat, so we've just been having a lot of fires, drinking a lot of cacao to tend to our own hearts. And I just felt called to drum a lot while, because the drum represents a heartbeat. And so just drumming for the land. And when I did that one day with the fire, the clouds just parted. Things just opened up. And so like the sun's gradually been coming back here, which is really nice. And we've done, I did an offering with flowers all around the property and on the grave, and tobacco back to the land, and just in like gratitude and thanks. But we saved her fat. He said like the butcher was amazed by how beautiful her fat is. So we're going to make tallow. Like we're going to use all of her in such reverence. And I feel so grateful that we could share her with all the people that have come to our farm, who have fed her, who have pet her, who have just embraced her beauty, that have gotten to witness her and her ridiculous states, and even her soft and gentle states, to just look at her in awe. I'm really grateful that she's been able to be shared in that respect with our friends, our family, and even through social media with all the videos of her and her cow sounds and all that. There's just so much abundance of love with Daisy, that I can still feel, and that we are still receiving and will receive for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. But we need a new protector now, so we'll have to figure that out.
Well, you know what I want, but I want donkeys.
Yeah.
They're more manageable size-wise, way more manageable for us.
Yeah.
And they are always on guard, on lookout for coyotes. Yeah, that's their purpose, is to protect the flock, to protect the other animals.
The herd.
Well, chickens. Plus, they just sound amazing.
Yeah, we have donkeys up the road, and we hear them on a clear day.
They just make you laugh,
but
like their sounds just make you laugh.
Yeah.
And we're Not like Noah's Ark, because we have like the weirdest like two like of everything. We have two disabled sheep.
Yeah, but we always have lesbians. We always have.
They're all girls. They're
we
all
don't have
girls.
any
Mom
fucking
and
guys.
daughter.
We need some
cow.
fucking men around here.
Maybe we get a male and a female donkey, and then they can reproduce. And then we could,
Now we're donkey breeders.
yeah, we breed donkeys.
I'd rather breed Highland cows.
What's your vote? Donkeys, breeding donkeys, or Highland cows? What's next for what's up for our next chapter here?
I just think that cows, if you can raise them from babies, from calves, they are the most loving, kind, nurturing animals. Like I don't think the average person, of course, isn't exposed to cows, so they don't know. And I myself wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
But Daisy was so special in that way, where if she was laying down, you could go and lay with her. I have like 1,000 pictures of laying with her head around, like literally wrapped around me.
You would be sleeping together. You'd both be sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was so affectionate.
I don't think you can do that with donkeys, but
I think you can. I think we could do that.
yeah.
It's how they're raised. So our 2 cows that we have right now, they're both pregnant. Hopefully, we hope that it took, because our hope is to raise the next generation for milking, so that if we raise them as a calf from baby, they get to know us really well, and we can get them into the routine, and so that we're not training a cow to milk. It just becomes part of their routine in life.
It's just really important when you have a calf. If you're in a commercial dairy, it's night and day. It's a totally different story. But when you're on a homestead, your cow has to be very trusting of you, and it has to know you like how Daisy knew us, because we could walk up to Daisy and touch her anywhere, and she would never, ever get mad, kick, nothing. Whereas the other ones, sometimes it's hard to get a hand on them. It really is. Sometimes it can be really hard to get a hand on them, to get them to come into the barn for milking. It can be tricky, and you go through a lot of treats and feed, and with pasture raised animals, you don't want to do that. You don't want to have a lot of that crap in them. So it will be nice when Mabel has her calf. I plan on raising her like I raised Daisy, and being very, very close with her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we're trying to plan we're deciding whether or not we could take a family trip, and we're trying to decide it around her pregnancy or her due date. This is a whole other part of homesteading. It's like our lifestyle is like, it's based around all this and the animals, and
it's hard to get away.
There's
not really a good time.
And to be honest, I don't really want to leave too much because I love it here so much. But it would be nice to go on a little family thing. But
yeah. Well, anyway, I think that I don't know. That pretty much covers it. I think, unless you have anything else that you want to add. It was just meant to be a short and sweet kind of update on where we've been. And Alora was away in the States for a few weeks, and so that was another reason why. But to be honest, I don't even think that even if you were here, if I would have wanted to.
We weren't ready.
Record anything. I'm just
to even talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just been a crazy month, and actually I lost 2 of my 3 beehives this fall as well, which just happened within the last few days. So it's just been
a lot of loss here.
A lot of losses, a lot of learning, a lot of lessons, and the lessons are good, but the lessons are hard and expensive.
Yeah.
Hard and expensive.
Yeah.
So
that's why this lifestyle is definitely not for everyone.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of courage, dedication, perseverance, and a lot of heart.
Yeah. You got to be resilient or
Yeah.
else you're fucked. Right? Because I mean, there's a lot of times where you want to just give up. You want to quit.
Yep.
But you have to be. I think you have to have a bit of stubbornness. Honestly, I think you do have to be a bit stubborn. To carry on.
I think I just know that it's what we're meant to be doing, and even the hard days are are meant to be experienced, are meant to be felt. Nothing's meant to be like to always do the easy thing isn't always what's best for us. To do the thing that requires effort is always going to be better. It's always going to have more reward, whether it's emotional, or physical, tangible.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that pretty much covers it, and we'll be doing some other stuff soon, and
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and we'll be back soon.